Hey guys, Caesar here. There are all kinds of people with varying beliefs living all around us. Some of them we notice, and some of them we never really see. But I can guarantee you one thing for sure. There's a missionary living right in your neighborhood. Growing up as part of the church, there was this huge map in the lobby where we worshiped on Sundays, okay? It was a map of the world with pins all over it, right? Stuck in all the different continents. Each pin had a corresponding like 8 by 10 photograph picture next to the map, right? And we were taught that the people in these photographs, right, who always worked and served in faraway lands, they were our missionaries. And they never told us what the Bible teaches, that all Christians are missionaries. In fact, our God is a missionary God. And we see his missionary heart displayed all through Scripture, starting right in the beginning of the story in Genesis 3. After Adam and Eve have chosen to rebel against God, they ran away and they hid themselves, covered up with leaves, hid amongst the trees. And what did God do? He went looking for them, calling out, "Where are you?" Immediately, after God's beloved image bearers choose a life of self-rule, one where they thought they could manage the knowledge of good and evil, right and wrong for themselves, God goes out on a rescue mission. He goes out as a missionary looking for them. That's his heart. And then later, of course, in the story, we see God sends his own son, Jesus, to this earth as a missionary as well, to take on human form and live within the culture. He worked and ate and interacted regularly, normal life among the people, living in such a way that those around him could see and experience exactly what his dad is like. Now imagine if you and your family, maybe with a few close friends, were sent and fully funded to go to another country and establish the gospel, to start a church and see people come to faith in Jesus. What would you immediately begin to do when you got on the ground? What would your life consist of? How would you be with and among the people there? I've asked a lot of people this question, just sort of to see what they think, even if they've not been trained in it, and their answers have been remarkably similar. They say things like, well, we'd start by getting to know the language of the local people. We'd eat what and where they ate. We'd be like them. We'd start to dress more like them and adopt some of their customs. We'd shop at the same places over and over to get to know the shop owners, the restaurant owners, their staff, and we'd always be looking for ways to be a blessing to them. We'd start to build relationships and friendships slowly over time, but with great intention. I think that'd be a pretty good start, don't you think? Everybody says pretty much the same things. I have to be honest with you here. After living this way for a decade now, kind of like a localized missionary in my hometown, I don't think there's a huge difference between being a missionary here in America compared to living this way in a foreign country. People are people. We all have many of the same needs and fears. The biggest difference here is that I consistently feel two things pulling at me. My past experience of going to church instead of being the church, and my lack of faith that the gospel is truly good news for everyone and everything in life. My tendency, maybe you're the same way, is to revert back to making everything an event or a weekly meeting or teaching time. As if people were just to hear one more good sermon, or if they did one more Bible study, they would really get it, get saved. If that was really the case, then why didn't Jesus just broadcast a message or some really good news loudly from heaven so that everybody on the planet could hear it? Well, that's because the good news, the gospel, is not a set of historical facts or programs or meetings. The good news is a person. Jesus came to show the world what God, his Father, is truly like. He came as a missionary, and that's why we go. Jesus commanded us to go and make disciples, and that was not a suggestion. And he didn't say, ask people to come and see. He always intended, as he lived, that we would incarnate, in other words, take on flesh, his mission out there in the world, in our neighborhoods, offices, gyms, and parks, showing the world what he's like and sharing the gospel with others by both our life's display and our words. Regardless of how God decides to route your paychecks, yours or mine, either through a business or through a church or however, we are all full-time paid missionaries. If we're Christians, that's true of us. Want to find the missionary in your neighborhood? Look in the mirror. So if you haven't been living as a full-time missionary up until this point, the next best time to start is now. Would you please share this with someone else that you love today, like that they would find it helpful? And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel before you go, and let me know what's been keeping you from living like a full-time missionary down there in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching.